You say, okay, I have a lot of money, but you have no money unless you take profits.
When the first ever spot ETF was created for gold 10x.
And the only thing I really knew was Bitcoin at the time, so I just invested very heavily into that. Rode it all the way up.
What's up?
My name is Jess. Even the creators have said it's going to be the predecessor of CBDC.
What that taught me was that I need to be self-sufficient.
A solid DCA investment strategy, and pretend the red sell button doesn't even exist.
We about to go up like.
God damn, that bass hits hard in headphones, man. Like every time the number goes out and it goes dead silent and then that bass hits, dude, it's like an adrenaline rush. I fucking love. What is up, DJs? We got Whiskey Wednesday going down tonight. We got me, Chocolate Taints, we got Nate, and we got Zenith in the house. And from time to time, we're also going to have a couple folks that want to hop in and just chat with us for a couple minutes. So with that being said, Nate, I got me a nice little handle here, some Crown Royal. That's what I'm working on this evening. This is it's also probably what I'm going to be working on Sunday down at the Ravens tailgate. So I don't know. Do you think I need to get some more, or do you think that'll last me through like a 4 or 5 hour tailgate? What do you think?
Oh hell no! You need that thing full, man.
What are you drinking on tonight?
I'm drinking the Grey Duck rather than Grey Goose because, you know, I'm poor as shit. Little brokies over here. This is how you save money, so that way you can buy more crypto.
I like it, man. Zenith, what are you working on, bud?
Gentlemen, I have a highball whiskey with bullet bourbon, and for a refill later on, I got some Woodford Reserve, fresh bottle.
I like it. So I'm thinking for the next hour and a half, do you guys want to just talk shit on Israel Hamas, or are we actually going to talk crypto?
I got a little crypto to talk if you boys want to talk some crypto.
Yeah, maybe crypto is centered on that, but I mean Hamas. What was that whole deal with Hamas and freaking Bitcoin? Like that's really confusing me. And now you got Elizabeth Warren who can't shut her freaking mouth and is like, see, this is why crypto is freaking like bad and full of scammers and fraudsters and all these people. I'm like, wow, they're terrorists. That's what you're saying.
What's Gary's line? Crypto is rife with fraudsters, scams, and hucksters. Is that it?
Yeah, I've been hearing that way too much lately.
I gotta say though, with Elizabeth Warren though, like she's been on this side of Bitcoin for a long time. So to see her go after it and just use this as like a good stick to beat it with, it's not surprising. Is it annoying? Absolutely. But what do you expect?
Yeah, dude, it's just negative talking points about cryptocurrency. There are going to be a certain swath of folks who are negative behind it, who don't see the potential, and who just don't understand that it very well could be the future of the digital age. So they're going to shit talk it. It's Silk Road 2.0, really, when you think about it.
Dude, that's a really good point you brought up there. The digital, like the new money for the digital age and everything. Could we dive into that a little bit, actually?
I mean, sure, we could. It's definitely a good talking point. And I mean, when you think about it, the entire world. Yeah, when the entire world's going digital, you know what I'm saying? Gone are the days of in-person transactions. Everything's done digitally now. I called up a Marriott this evening to see if they had a reservation for April for a weekend. And I called the front desk. The woman said, "Let me put you on hold and get you to someone that can help." And she transferred me to a recorded line where I had to enter my text message for a link to book it on my smartphone. That is the digital age that we're in.
That's fair. There's a somewhat famous clip of Gary Gensler specifically talking about this. Someone says, "Well, what's the use case for crypto?" And it's an MSNBC hit. He basically says, "We don't need digital money. We already have digital money. The US dollar is digital." And it's like, he is technically correct, which is that the US dollar is technically digital, and it is digital money. However, that's not really what crypto is. Crypto is like, it's property in cyberspace. It's the hardest asset you're ever going to own. When you look at Bitcoin specifically, it's very easy to look at it and not think of it as money because it's hard to transfer. But because it's hard to transfer, that does give it some value and staying power. Granted, blockchain is absolutely possible to become a form of transfer and a form of exchange. But some of the crypto that we have right now, it's just not that. And that's fine. That's totally fine. It exists as its own thing. What I got? Let me pull up what is the definition of money, because I think Gary brought this up in front of Congress the other day.
He did that in front of Congress.
Yeah, he did. He went to Congress twice, boys. Neither one was good. He says medium is a medium of exchange that is centralized, generally accepted, recognized, and facilitates transactions of goods and services. I believe the other one is it's a store of value. It's a medium of exchange, and it's a measure of value. I think I reiterated myself. But basically, the point that they get at is that crypto in its current state, it might be some of those things, but it's never all of them. And it's like, okay, just because you don't see it that way doesn't mean that other people see it that way, first off. And second of all, I mean, store of value, I'd argue if you have the correct one, it's a store of value, just like how some money, if you have incorrect money, it's not a store of value. Like ask Zimbabwe how their dollars are, or even Argentina how their money is. And then medium of exchange, yeah, I can exchange it. Granted, I'm going to pay a small fee on it. That's inevitable just with blockchain upkeep. And then as means of payment, yeah, you can pay people. We've paid for pizza with Bitcoin. Like, we're there.
Yeah, that actually did happen very quickly, didn't it? Well, it was originally made to be peer-to-peer monetary system. That's literally what it was created to do, you know?
I'm not gonna lie, if someone gave me the option to buy some ammunition using Pulse Chain, I'd do it. I say that as I'm currently trying to buy more 5.56s. Everything in the world is fucking that up, so.
Wait, what's a 5.56?
I don't know. It's just some made-up thing. It must be a weapon of war.
Yeah, sounds like it could be something that is shot out of a magazine.
I think you probably just throw it at each other. It's like rocks.
Throw rocks at each other. Hey, fun little fact. This is such a stupid thing. You know, squirrel. But did you know that human beings, especially men, literally naturally have the ability to throw things? Because apparently that is our projectile weapon of choice. That was one of the first instincts input into a human, is to throw shit.
Entirely plausible. I believe it. Something that had to come before the bow and arrow. So, and
then baseball was born. All right, you guys, let's go ahead and get Hexagon on. I'm gonna go ahead and pop him in. So
you have it is Hexagon Lost in Asia. What's good?
Yeah, what's up, buddy? How you doing?
And we are live.
Yeah, can you hear us, bud?
What's up?
He's got this is my.
There we go.
Yeah, loud
good
and clear.
Good to see you again. How you been?
Yeah, man, we can hear you. How's it going?
Cheers.
Hey, Coke. Is that a rum and Coke?
Doing a bit of travel. Good. It's morning time over here. It's not so much a rum and Coke, but I'm drinking something.
Oh. Gotcha. Well, you are in Asia.
Yeah, I'm coming back from a bit of travel.
Nice. So, question for you. I see the subtitle is Staked 100. Perfect.
Staked 100%.
Yeah, brother. I see you're staked 100%. Can you explain that a little bit?
Explain yourself.
For sure. Yeah. I think when I came on last time, I explained a bit. I follow Crispy Man. I don't know if you guys follow him. The idea is kind of like a Hex flow. Okay, it's ladder. Okay, so right now the idea is to have Hex come unstake for Hex every 100 days the rest of my life. How does that sound?
That sounds pretty good.
I like it.
Staking it.
That's that. So that sounds to me like what you're trying to create.
It's long term. Dollar cost average.
Yeah, it sounds like you're creating a Basically a quarterly or
I think,
third, I guess.
I think there's a little delay.
Yep. There seems to be a little bit of a delay. I'll tell you what.
A little bit of a delay.
Why don't Hexakin? Why don't you hop off and try to hop back on? Let's see if we can clear that up.
How do you hear me now? You got me?
Yeah, but there's still a little bit of a delay. Go ahead and hop off, and then just log out and log back in.
I hate to say it, but part of it might just be the fact that he's so far away from us physically.
Yeah, that could be the case. I mean, it worked pretty well last time when he hopped on, so but we'll see how it rolls.
Yeah, it's all kind of how that goes.
I will say he does bring up an interesting topic though, because eHex recently did make a bit of a pump in comparison to pHex, so now that ratio has sweetened up a bit. For the last month and a half, I've been waiting to ratio trade some eHex over to pHex, and then it just felt like that ratio kept getting away and away from me. I think I was targeting 2.15 at one point when I was first looking, and then it just kept running up all the way to 2.5 to 1. And then over the last 3 days, we've seen it drop all the way back down to 1.8. So it's interesting movement for sure to see that the Ethereum side of the chain is actually gaining value faster than Pulse Chain.
I wonder what is going on with it.
My understanding is that there's just been a whale that's just been buying up as much as he can on the Ethereum side. And it makes sense. Obviously, all these things are tied together through Pulse Chain, so there is going to be a good bit of liquidity bonding going on. But at the same time, it is entirely possible to buy at one side of the chain.
You got a point. You know what? This actually, so when Jeff and I were talking, he's been getting really worried and all that over basically eHex versus pHex, right? And I've got a couple of different theories on where eHex can go, but my favorite one it is basically like this: eHex will become more rare, right? It becomes more rare and more of a statement of how much money you have. What do you call it? Kind of like how NFTs worked, right? Where it's you have a Bored Ape,
show
which
of
means
wealth.
you're like a celebrity. Yeah, show of wealth, right? It's more of a show of wealth to have eHex versus what everyone else is using, right? Which is the regular pHex.
Yeah, real quick. Yes, No Money Mike. We can explain ratio trading, but for now, we're going to get our man Hexakin Lost in Asia back on here. Can you hear us now, bud?
Yes, I got you. Can you hear me?
Oh, perfect.
Yes, so much better.
Good to go. Yep.
All right.
Question for you. So you're
Yes, go
talking
ahead.
about creating your staking ladder. Have you been following the recent pump with eHex?
I follow the chart every day. I've set my eyes on the chart every day.
Beautiful. So then, obviously, as a intellectual man yourself, you know that eHex has been catching up to pHex a little bit. So when you're making staking ladders, which side of the house are you looking at more?
So I am not I'll take it back a little bit, right? I am not I didn't Pulse Chain sacrifice. I did not PulseX sacrifice.
Okay.
I learned about Hex basically in between the PulseX sacrifice and when Pulse Chain launched, right? So what I did was I started dollar cost averaging into Hex then. And then when Pulse Chain launched, we all kind of obviously saw that a bunch of liquidity, went over into the Pulse Chain side of Hex, right? So that's where I started dollar cost averaging in heavy. Just recently, I'll be honest, I think we talked about this on the last show. Just recently, Maximus DAO, we talked about that was coming live. That was coming available.
Yep.
I bought that thing down there, 0.003 cents. I bought a huge bag of Maximus DAO down there, and I'm basically anybody who's following eHex or pHex at this point. You can probably kind of say this is like a euphoric day, euphoric 24 hours. eHex has been down 7 months, and this pump last 24 hours, 50%. It's going to give us our first green month in 7 months. It guarantees our first green month in 7 months.
That's not bad.
That's not bad. Hey, how are your bags looking? Are you comfortable with where they are? Are you still adding to them? Are you fully packed? How are you looking right now?
I mean, if you're staked in Hex, or if you even if you've been dollar cost averaging into Hex, you're down. We're all down. It's a bear market, right? I'm down.
Of course.
It is.
Sure. But I've been I'm Actually, I wanted to mention, where's my guy Will? You know, the other.
Oh,
military.
Will,
He's
as a
hanging off a
matter of
tower.
fact, yeah,
Will's
Will right
currently
now
dangling 500
Oh,
feet in the air.
Oh, he's
Yep.
washing his hair. Oh, he's working.
Yeah,
Oh, he's
yeah, for
working
sure.
right now.
Okay,
Yep.
gotcha. But,
He's hanging about
anyway.
500 to 1,000 feet in the air right now. It's insane.
Gotcha. I saw something in the Telegram chat. But what I was going to mention was Will would understand. You know, being a military guy, we get our pay on the first of the month. You know, every month, right? You know, government type
15th.
pay. It comes in the first of the month. So that's just been my plan since I learned about Hex, was try to dollar cost average into Hex on the first of the month. Ever since I've learned about it.
Fair enough. Real quick, I'm sorry to jump in here too much, but I'm not forgetting No Money Mike. So ratio trading. The idea with ratio trading is that you are trading. You're trading two assets that are measured in dollars, but their levels fluctuate independently in comparison to the dollar. So instead of thinking them in dollar terms, you think of them in terms of each other. So one thing you might notice is people, especially during the bull market, are going to talk about how altcoins are comparing versus Ethereum, because Ethereum is going to be the benchmark by which we measure everything against. So if Ethereum does like a 5x, you can imagine its graph is this. And then if something does a 10x in the same time, its graph is going to be a lot sharper. What that means is that one of those assets is going to be going up a lot higher than the other. If you look at a chart that has fluctuations against the two, you can take advantage of local highs and lows and trade from one that is less expensive into one that is more expensive, or vice versa. Basically, the way that you do it is you can imagine that if you buy 50% of each asset, one of them goes up a little bit, you can now trade out of this asset into this asset. So now you have all your stuff over here. Once that level equalizes out again, you can trade back and equalize your bags about 50-50. What you're going to do with this is, theoretically, you're only gaining like maybe 5 to 10% increases at a time. However, the idea is that you're just taking advantage of these local highs and lows to just incrementally stack small wins and just gain raw number of coins overall.
I'm going to break it down. I'm going to break it down even further than that. Okay. I'm going to break it down like it's Barney style. Let's
do it,
take
please.
Pulse X and Pulse Chain. Okay. For one Pulse Chain, there are 3 Pulse X. Let's just use those round numbers. Okay. If the ratio then goes to 1 to 4, all right, then I'm going to swap in the direction of where, I'm going to go against the grain, so to speak. All right. So if it goes to 1 to 4, that means that Pulse X is being sold and Pulse Chain is being bought. So I'm going to do the opposite of that. And then when it balances out, I'm going to do the same thing. So it's really going against the curve, and it's watching. It's almost like a seesaw. You know, when a seesaw drops, you want to do the opposite of what the curve is doing. And that's how you incrementally add coins to your bag. That's pretty much what ratio trading is. You're not,
I'm feeling kind of left out on this.
I was going to say, can I add some value real quick? I just want to add a small piece.
Just real quick, hang tight. And you may not even know this, but even when you're using the US dollar and you're buying stuff, that's still ratio trading, because you're still ratio trading the US dollar versus whatever coin you're doing. When that price goes up, you sell it, all right, into the dollar. When that price goes down, you sell the dollar into that coin. So everything is a ratio trade, all right? You just have to keep that in mind. So when you keep that in mind, it really makes your strategy for how you want to ratio trade something a lot better, especially if there's volatility. But Hex can go ahead.
The only thing I was going to say is, can you pull up the question just again real quick, please? Can you, if there's a chat? The only thing I was going to add was that I don't trade at all, but the best thing for everybody, I think, the only thing everybody should be doing, obviously, it's do your own research, right? But the best thing to do for everybody is to look at the chart. Look at the chart and go with that. The chart don't lie.
If I were to because I'm feeling very left out because everybody's had a turn and I haven't had one yet. So I'm gonna try, and I'm gonna do exactly as he wanted, right? Speak as though I was a child. So I'm gonna go ahead and say it this way. So you've got E hex, right? And then you got P hex. Now let's go ahead and say they're 1 to 1. Now, it doesn't make any sense if I trade one P hex for one E hex, right? But let's say, you know, P hex now is worth 4 E hexes, right? Okay. So now what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to trade one E hex into 4 P hex. And so now I've got 4 P hexes. Okay, now let's say all of a sudden E hex shoots up, right? And now the E hex is worth the swapping turns into, I have 4 P hex, and the swapping now turns into 1-to-1 again, and it equals out. Okay, now what am I going to do? I'm going to swap it for 4 E hex. Now I have 4 E hex. Let's say P hex goes up to 4 again. Now I'm going to swap those 4 for 8 P hex. Oh, it equaled out again, right? So now I'm going to swap it back over, and now I've got 8 E hex. And that's called ratio swapping.
Yep. Just remember, at the end of the day, everything is ratio trading, even if you're going USD into a coin. You know, when the bull market comes, all right, you're going to sell. Hopefully, you're going to sell close to the top. You're going to take in the technical analysis. You're going to take in the fundamental analysis. You're going to talk it over with folks that you trust and come up with a good DCA out strategy. And then you're going to sell whatever coin into US dollar, and then you're going to hold on to that. And then when the price comes back down and it drops and it drops and it drops, then you're going to sell US dollar into that coin again. And that is how you, as Charlie would say, that's how you cultivate crypto, or that is how you build your bags and continuously build your bags. So everything is ratio trading. But yep, hopefully that answered the question. So Hexagon, last time you were on, dude, you were talking about, you know, that you were in the process of getting a channel started up and that you were going to start creating content. What's your progress looking like on that?
Really good. I just finished up a term here in Thailand for school. And I just got done with some travel I had to take care of for some other stuff. I got about a month off, and now's the time. I'm getting ready to go.
I like it, man. I like it. Zenith, Nate, you guys got any advice for the man?
As far as just taking time off, enjoy it. You know, recharge yourself.
Oh, no, I think he's talking about, like, starting a channel, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going towards. I don't think he needs advice on how. I don't think he needs any advice on how to take time off.
Yeah, I'll put it this
way. You never know with some people. I'm not gonna lie, bro.
I have no advice for the man who has 20 times the subscribers that I do. So our boy here is already at 110 subs, got 112 videos. So this man's on the grind.
I've created some videos. I just haven't went live yet. But you know, I've got everything kind of. I'm set up and ready to go. I have a plan. I have the equipment. Just kind of, I was just waiting on my time and other things.
Well, I can tell you right now,
it's professional to me. So that's all I got to say about it. Looks sharp.
Appreciate
so
it.
when you do go to stream, one thing that I do know and is that you need good audio, which is kind of hilarious on my part. I broke my mic just when I got everything put together. Let's go, right? So you need good audio over visual at all times. When it comes to the YouTube algorithm, you want facial expressions on whatever it is you're doing, if at all possible. Otherwise, there needs to be like really, what do you call that? Clickbaity wording, right? In all caps, saying like, "Oh my God," you know, and then have like the words in there with like the clickbait word or whatever in red, bold, and all that type of thing. I do know that's definitely a thing. There's a bunch of like friendly things too, where like certain words you don't want to say, and otherwise the algorithm won't. And there's just a bunch of little tiny nuances, and unfortunately, I'm just too busy to really like dig deep into this stuff and then get into our channel and start doing stuff with all that. But you know, it is what it is.
That's true.
Oh, agree on all points. I mean, I've kind of followed a lot of people. I've seen people get canceled, you know, for all kinds of things. And something I wanted to add, just to tack on, right? I am 100% staked. I am a Hex bull, right? But I am dollar cost averaging and into all the other good stuff that you guys were talking about, right? PulseX and PLS and, you know, everything in the ecosystem. I'm also dollar cost averaging into that as well.
Yeah, brother. I mean, I know we were just talking about ratio trading, and you even mentioned it earlier, which is that you don't do trading at all. If anybody out there is like us and you listen to the people that we listen to and try to take the same strategies, we're here as investors, not traders. Ratio trading is something that honestly the crypto community gives people a lot of shit for, and part of it is rightfully so. However, there are specific times when literal ratio trading is the only thing you can do. For example, when Pulse Chain launched and there was no bridge, the only tokens that people had access to were tokens that came through the snapshot. Therefore, you couldn't onload new funds through the bridge, so you only had to play with what you had. This was the time
they were wrecking themselves. They were wrecking themselves. Remember, they're swapping into. Oh man,
it's honestly the Wild West of crypto. Whenever there's an L1 chain, especially like Pulse Chain, where they had like a true fair launch where everyone had snapshot, sacrifice, and that it. None of that like first round, second round investor stuff. This was like a true, just like people have at it, like laissez-faire market. And yeah, some people got absolutely wrecked. Those ratios, because there's no bridge and there's no liquidity, they swing super hard.
Well, what I remember was people were thinking that like right when it launched, people were thinking they were swapping into actual like USDC, and they weren't. There was no money in there. And
fun fact, there is USDC from Ethereum, and then there is Pulse USDC that got copied and is worthless.
They were throwing away like all their sacrifice money, like just because they thought they were trying to, they thought they were getting it. I mean, 2 years of just waiting, just gone.
So brutal.
There were a lot of people. Oops. Sorry.
Quick point. I will say this. I actually did a little bit of ratio trading myself. I tried. However, I stuck to a few different rules. First one, I never ratio trade more than like 30% of my entire bag at a time, or in total, to be honest. And then even then, if you were trying to ratio trade early in the days, there was such low liquidity that the amount you were trying to trade would jack up the ratios mid-trade. I even did a case study on this, and I backtracked some of the ratio trading stuff. And it was like, based on the amounts of liquidity that we had, you were paying almost as much in gas fees as you were gaining. So like at best, you probably ratio traded and maybe gained like 10% on your portfolio if you were doing what I'm doing, where you only were trading like 30% at most. It's like at that point, it's not even worth it. It's like the ratios do work. However, you got to take into the other factors, which is slippage and gas fees. Those will eat you alive.
I like it. All right, Hexkin, we're gonna bid you adieu, my man. We appreciate you hopping on. Please continue to watch. And
thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Please keep that that chat. Keep it rolling in the chat and keep throwing out some good comments and stuff.
Pleasure to see you, man. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah, bro.
Great to see you again, man.
Please follow everybody. Please follow my channel if you can, and also Twitter.
Follow.
Thanks.
Yeah, man, for sure. And we look forward to having you back on here again next time we do one of these or something like that down the road. So looking forward to it.
Cool. Thanks again.
All right, man. Catch you later, bud.
Good dude right there. I like him.
Yeah, for sure.
He's cool. I like him.
All right. Hey, I just read an article. Let me get this squared away real quick. Hang on. I just read an article. I want to get y'all's opinion on it. So it's probably something that we could probably cover on Sunday, but it's along the lines of one of the articles that I already proposed. But I'm just going to read the headline, okay? Spot Bitcoin ETF approvals could add $1 trillion to crypto market cap. That's the headline. Do you guys agree with this? Do you guys think that's too low? Do you guys think that's too high? What do you guys think?
Do you want to go first, Zenith?
All right.
Otherwise, I'll go.
First question to your question. When are we talking about? Because 1 trillion in crypto in market cap matters when you're talking about it. If you're talking about 1 trillion market cap right now, you are doubling all of crypto, because we're right now sitting at like just over 1 trillion. That is entirely realistic. I think some people like fail to realize how big traditional finance is, especially like venture capital and investment capital, like Vanguard, BlackRock, and Blackstone and stuff. It's absolutely massive. Also, when we start throwing around this many zeros, it's physically hard to fathom. Like it's so much money. Like I think on average, most people will make like the total amount of cash flow for their entire life is maybe like a few $1 million. So when you're talking about not just billions, but $1 trillion, it's huge. Is it possible that the ETFs can do this? Yeah, for sure. But again, I think personally this might be a little bit of a cloak and dagger thing, which is what happened when gold got ETFs as well, is that it's the creation of paper gold. And unfortunately, it's a little bit of an inflation of a supply, specifically for the paper gold thing. When it comes to Bitcoin, how closely regulated these things are may determine like how much can actually be like traded and whatnot. But until we have the thing in reality, it's going to be hard to know. We can speculate, but it's going to be hard to know.
Nate, what were you going to say?
So there's a lot of speculation, obviously, right? Now, what kind of the general consensus is the ETFs themselves are going to bring in definitely at least $1 trillion. Yeah. But it's really not going to be it's going to be ramping up in the same way that exponential growth is. At first, it's going to happen. People are going to be like, yay. And then what the liquidity that is already in the system now in cryptocurrencies is going to jump and go immediately into these ETFs, which obviously is going to be, hey, pumping prices, right? But then ultimately, when you're looking at the ETFs, you got to think about grandpa's, retirement fund and hedge funds dumping money in. That's kind of what it is, right? And so how long is that going to take? Well, how long does it take for, a deer, for an entire herd of buffalo, let's say, to go to a watering hole? Well, you need that first one to go there. Okay, it's safe. There's no crocodile in there. Okay, here comes a bunch more. And then the entire herd comes and it's a big wave, right? So, yeah. Does it specify a time on when 1 trillion or whatever is going to happen? Does it have a timeline?
It does not. It's just
okay.
It just provides that article, and I think it's kind of clickbaity because I agree with Zenith. But continue with what you were saying.
I think it's way too low. I believe the 1 trillion alone might be, quite frankly, just simply for grandpa's funds, because there's a lot of rich people with a lot of money, right? And this is also going to, more than likely, this might actually become a worldwide thing too. Very possible. But here's the thing I'm looking at most of all, and this is where I truly think 1 trillion alone for the ETFs is going to be kind of ridiculous, because these ETFs are going to be a floodgate, an opening for what do you call those? The financial advisors of institutions to be able to start dumping money in. Otherwise, how else are they going to get into crypto? Now, because of these ETFs, they're going to feel safe enough where these financial advisors are literally, and they're already talking about it now, but anywhere from 1% to 5% of your total assets. Okay. Now, if you have asset managers of $15 trillion and you've got, let's do a smaller $5 trillion. Okay. And now you have like 10 or 15 of them. Okay. What is, even 1% of 15 trillion? That's going to be like what, 250, 300 billion, somewhere in there, right? How long does it take? What was that?
What was the number? 15 trillion?
15 trillion. Yeah. 1% of that.
150 or
yeah, 150
billion.
Yeah,
150 billion. Okay.
Yeah.
So once they all start throwing them in there, mind you, this is imagining everybody goes to the very lowest number. There's obviously going to be more bulls, right? We're already hitting over. Once we hit like 10 or 15 of these different institutions alone, we're already hitting over that amount. Now you have all the smaller institutions coming in as well. And these other ones, maybe some of them are at 5%, maybe some of them are going as far as 10%, being wild with it, right? And then you're not even counting in grandpa's money at this point, right? I'm thinking there's an easy anywhere from like 2, 3, maybe even 5 trillion that can come in just because of this safety net. The gate has been opened. Let's go, right? And then from there, that's when things start ramping up and really start, going crazy.
Yeah. Well, you got to figure. So at the height of November 2021, the total crypto market cap was 3 trillion. All right. Bitcoin's alone was 1 trillion. So if you put conservative estimates in there, I don't know. What do you guys think would be a good total crypto market cap for 2025? What would you guys think, between 8 and 10 trillion? Is that something that you guys think could be a realistic market cap?
We can do a bit of extrapolation. So how about this? We hit max market cap of 2.
Well, hold on real quick. So
yeah, go for it.
So for the sake of what I'm saying, I just that was like a question that was just like, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I've thought about it. I'm not saying that we need to dive into it. It was just something that I was going to use for. I'm not sure what happened there. Nate completely just zoned out and came back in. Oh, great, the digital world, right? So all right, so let's say we get 8 to 10 trillion. Okay, let's call it 8 or 10 trillion as a solid market cap for total crypto market cap at the top of the next bull cycle. All right, if we put Bitcoin's dominance at around between 30 and 40%, then we're looking at a $3 to $4 trillion market cap for Bitcoin. So if we can tack on another 1 trillion, okay, that's going to be an additional 25% that wasn't necessarily already factored in. Now you can say that some people were already, they could see, they could read the tea leaves, and that, they could sort of see what was coming around the corner. But when the Bitcoin market cap hit $1 trillion back in 2021, people weren't thinking about a spot ETF. I mean, sure, they already had futures that were in the rumor mill and all that different sorts of stuff. But they didn't have a spot ETF Bitcoin out at that time. All right. So if we're looking at a $3 or $4 trillion market cap, and that this article is stating that it could add $1 trillion, then that would be pretty much 25 to 33% more market cap just off the SEC approving it and having that extra money coming in. What do you guys think about that?
I'm going to throw it to our great value TA in the chat here, which Jay is coming in saying a 3x in total market cap would be out of the question, assuming, of course, that World War III hasn't broken out. So we might need some clarification on that, Jay, but I can understand that.
Yeah.
To put things in perspective, right now, the S&P 500 market cap is $36.6 trillion. So we're sitting at 136. So we're sitting at like a little under 3% total market cap of the entire S&P 500. So if a 3x is out of the question, according to Jay, I mean, a doubling in market cap would be a lot. That is $1 trillion, but Nate does have a really good point when he talks about what is venture capital money. Venture capital money is all the money that has been invested by mom and pop and grandma.
There we go. Hey, he clarified it there. He clarified it there. I was about to say, thank you, Jesus. Jay came in and corrected that, because
I was going to be like, Jay, I'm disagreeing with you, bro.
We were about to have a fundamental disagreement. I can tell you that right now. So I'm so glad he came in and said that. Yes, I totally agree. I agree with what Jay is saying, because I was like, wait a minute. It would.
I'll put it this way:
for a 3x.
Doing a quick chart price range. So the top of the 2017 bull market, was a little over $620 billion crypto market cap. Top of the 2021 bull market was.
You want us to bring up your screen?
I got multiple screens right now. It's very simple. It was 3 trillion. If you look at that, according to one of my calculations, that was like a 3x, just a pure 3x from one top to the next. So to do another 3x, it's possible. Yeah, Jay is about to start World War III up in here. That's what's going on right now.
Let's go.
TA goes south real quick.
Hey, I think that's a good segment. So, about a week ago, there was a news article out saying that they already had an aircraft carrier that was heading over to that region of the world. And now there's a second aircraft carrier and naval group that's heading out that way. We got Biden over there. We got a lot of stuff going on. What are you guys thinking as far as what's going on in the Middle East right now?
My opinion is that World War III is less likely to happen than Cold War II. That's my opinion. I believe that the world itself is a little bit too tired of war, in as in a hot war, right? I don't think the world really, number one, would support it, nor would it, nor does, especially, like, who would it be? Who would like go to war with NATO? Basically, it would have to be like China and Russia, and then allies, right? And so then what are you going to get? You're going to get China, who very specifically is trying their hardest to gain power through other means rather than war. And so now let's say they get a little hot-headed and think they're powerful enough to actually have some kind of war. There's no way in hell they're going to have an all-out offensive against the rest of the world with their allies, which, by the way, most of their allies don't like them. That's the problem with BRICS right now. Freaking India hates China. The only reason why they're even together in BRICS is because the common enemy is worse, which is, you know, the West. I really do not think World War III is even like possible at this point. I believe it would be skirmishes and kind of like how the Cold War would happen, just lots of other things going on, you know, proxy wars and stuff. That's what I think.
I'll put it this way. Ukraine has actually, well, the American involvement in Ukraine has been one of the very curious things that I haven't quite understood. Part of me thinks that, so it's a land war in Europe. How excited am I to get involved in a land war in Europe? Not excited at all. On the other hand, I look at all the people in the United States government that are trying to get involved and justify supporting Ukraine and even trying to like rationally expand upon what Russia is trying to do and say that their tactical objectives lie beyond Ukraine. And I don't entirely buy that. Like, part of me feels that the ruling elite of the United States right now, or at least those in Congress and those around that area, are a little like drunk on the Cold War hangover and feel that they won and they want to keep it going. I would almost draw a comparison to the War of 1812, which is that the fight for independence was won by the people at the time, and the War of 1812 was stirred on by people that were younger and didn't entirely understand what everything had been sacrificed and what was lost during the Revolutionary War. Freedom was a high price back then, but then all of a sudden people are so willing to go fight the crown again. But for what? I kind of draw parallels here. It's like, I understand that Ukraine, theoretically, on a geopolitical stance, this is all super complicated and is very philosophical and theological, honestly. On the idea of, if you want the U.S. to remain a world power and have everything it wants, have its cake and eat it too, then yeah, theoretically, debasing Russia, ensuring that it can never get up for the next 25 years, that's a decent strategic advantage. So yeah, sure, funding Ukraine, trading US dollars, Ukrainian lives for a Russian future that goes in the drain, sure, that makes sense. That calculus checks out. However, once you start involving the rest of the world and stuff, that's when this whole thing really starts to get very muddy. That's when other factors and other players come into play, which is that Israel has been an ally of the United States for a long time. Stuff like this does get the American people riled up. As Tim Pool has been saying recently, something about the Israeli conflict just like breaks people's brains and gets them very wound up for like not a very clear reason. Obviously, civilian deaths and targeting of civilians should not be tolerated and should be dealt with. However, do you need the full backing of the United States to do so? Who knows? At that point, this could only be stage 2. There could be stage 3s. If you are kind of a skeptic, you could look at this whole situation and say that the Israeli conflict is people saying that, the U.S. responded to conflict in Ukraine. Let's create our own conflict to get American dollars to support our cause. At this point, if you're an adversary of the United States, you could also look at this and start saying, U.S. is jumping in a lot of stuff. Let's give them one more thing to jump in about, and they'll be weaker so that maybe this way we actually have a tactical advantage or a way to fight the U.S. on even playing field or with a slight advantage. So specifically talking about Taiwan here, this might be a decent chance for the Chinese to invade Taiwan and actually gain a bit of an advantage with the U.S. attempting to fight effectively a three-front war. There are American citizens in Ukraine right now that are part of private military corporations that are assisting with that. We are already sending actual U.S. troops to Israel. And personally, one of the things that I've been looking into recently is the NGAD program, NGAD, which is the Next Generation Air Dominance Program, which is basically the U.S. is trying to come up with a replacement for the F-22. The F-22 is our air dominance fighter. The F-35 is a multi-role strike fighter and reconnaissance and intelligence expert in the air. But one of the issues that we're having is in war games with invasions of Taiwan and so to speak, our nearest air base is just outside of F-22 combat radius, which means that our air dominance fighters can't maintain air superiority over the battlefield. So the U.S. military right now is trying to create a program to solve this gap, figure out how we can utilize strategic posts in the Pacific and create a new air platform that has the effective combat radius and the air dominance of the F-22, but in a package that is able to transit long distances and have a support infrastructure in the Pacific Islands to maintain it. Sorry, that was a rant. Where's my expo marker?
I'm gonna so taking all that into account. So I agree with what you're saying. So I don't know. I think America's getting stretched thin, to be quite honest with you. So when you take into consideration what's going on over in Ukraine, I think the U.S. I think the corporate media has been looking for an opportunity to get away from their coverage from that story, because I think as months and months have rolled along, support for the Ukraine-Russia war has diminished to a point to where the corporate press, they've dug their graves. They have to continue to report on it. Now it gives them the opportunity. They don't have to anymore. Now they have a new shiny metal that they can focus on. Okay. It's the Israel-Hamas situation. What wouldn't surprise me is if once the whole situation with Israel and Hamas dies down, if there's still a situation going on in the Ukraine, we might see the corporate media singing a little bit different of a tune. You got to take a look at Biden's polling numbers. And over the last couple months, poll after poll continues to show Trump gaining a lead on him in all the national polls. What is the most successful way for a president to ensure re-election is if he becomes a wartime president. There's something else to keep in mind. I want to show this article. So going along the lines of America's getting stretched thin, I want to bring up a couple thoughts that I'm having. So I'm just going to put this article up. Okay. I'm going to let you guys see it. All right. I'm not even going to read it. It's going to be right there on the screen. Okay.
That's got to be a lie. What on earth?
That is being reported through the Military Times. That is not a lie. That is the military newspaper, Military Times. That is report. That is report after report.
Define overweight. Are we talking about you have to go get taped, or you get taped and they look at you and say, yes, you're a fat fuck?
They are, we'll put it to you this way, okay? They go against the BMI standards that are implemented in the U.S. military, okay?
Okay.
So they're against the BMI standards, okay? At any point in history, can you ever think of a time where that number has been at 70% or higher than 70%?
Nope.
I can't. All right, so what you have is you have a Gen Z, all right, who is progressively getting more and more, I don't want to say anti-American, but there's not a national pride in this generation that we've seen in generations in the past. All right. We've also seen a mass influx of migrants coming into the country. And we all know that a strong path, the easiest path to citizenship is through the U.S. military. All right. Think about Rome. Okay. What led to the downfall of Rome? All right. It was regional clans and regional sects that got absorbed by the Roman Empire that ended up joining their militaries, and they did not have the allegiance nor the alliance to continue with the campaigns that the Roman Empire was going up against. And that along other things that led to the eventual decline. That wasn't the main point, but that was definitely a foundational point. So if you take a look at where America is right now, okay, we are pretty much funding one war going on in Europe right now. We are sending troop presence into another section of the world for another war. We have 70% of the active duty troops that are overweight, and we have a mass migration into this country, which is leading to record high, enlistments into the military for pathways to citizenship. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. And you add onto that the current financial situation that we're in. I don't know. It scares me, having a 7-year-old daughter, it definitely scares me. It leaves me wondering where this country is going to be 10 years from now, where this country is going to be 20 years from now. I don't want to make any predictions here or anything like that, but it's definitely concerning. And, I think we're certainly at a pivotal point in the world. And, we'll see how it plays out. You guys have any comments?
Yeah, so with what you just said, I don't want to take any steam out of it or anything, but do we really need to have boots on the ground anymore?
That's a good question.
Define your strategic objectives. That will determine if you need it or not.
Yeah, and here's the thing that I'm looking at. So our technology, if you actually look at the technology that we have, what do we got? We've already got unmanned jets, planes, everything, doing the stuff that people used to have to do. We've already got, machine learning, not AIs in the sense you're thinking, but machines that can do the computing faster than any human ever was able to do it. And a human just has to push a button, right? Or maybe a couple of buttons. And we've already got these other little helicopter things or whatever. There's many different technologies out. Main point, right? I could go on with this for a while, but the main point is do we really actually need humans to be running around anymore? Aside from small teams of elites doing very specific humanesque type things alone. When you think about the wars of old, right? Vietnam, the Gulf War, all the way back to, the world wars. The main thing that you had to do was you had to get a lot of people to run in a certain direction and do certain things. That's how it always was. And nowadays we're hitting, I don't want to say Terminator, but that scene always comes to mind where you've got just a long line of these robots just walking forward and doing their thing. And they're getting taken down and all that. But at the same time, it's we have the technology for that nowadays, right? They're trying to perfect it, but if push came to shove, we are able right now to take these literal robots, put a gun in their hand, and then say go this direction and achieve the objective of just walking into a base. We have that objective. Now they'd be a little bit easier to take out than obviously, hence why they haven't deployed anything like that yet. But I mean, how fast can you manufacture a robot humanoid to just walk straight forward and shoot at stuff, then to birth a baby, raise it, and then train it? There's a little bit of a difference there,
I think that maybe in the future that's something, but now in today's world, I don't know if we're there yet.
I don't know, man. I've been seeing some stuff, dude. So I'm a little bit iffy. We might be at that extreme, what do you call it? The point where things can change in an instant if push came to shove. I can't remember the exact word, but what that was.
I think a lot of this comes down to what your strategic objective is. Are boots on the ground required? Absolutely, for certain things. Entirely so. If anything, I think Vietnam is one of the wars that shows that boots on the ground are very good for something. That war was, I think, one of the points of the war. It showed that there was a failure winning the hearts and minds of the locals in the fact that they thought that we were an occupying force and that bred unrest within the Viet Cong and North Vietnam, and that ultimately led to a bit of the downfall, along with what was the idea, the McCarthy strategy of, what was it, proportional warfare, was it? That's a stupid idea. But yeah, it depends on what you want to do. If you are trying to create a parking lot, no, you don't need boots on the ground, because any boots that are on the ground will become the parking lot. However, if you are trying to take out strategic military targets, and also ensure that you are able to occupy the nation afterwards and ensure that it is built, I'm not advocating for nation building here, but there's a reason that some of it works and some of it doesn't. I'm looking at the difference between South Korea and Afghanistan. Having boots on the ground is absolutely part of it, because as much as we want to talk about, I can just drone strike you from 1,000 miles away, half of it's true, but the other half is that for every bit of military technology requires a logistical support and a support staff to maintain that and operate it. That is unseen, unsung heroes that make sure that everything happens. So I'm going to get real wild with this history here, but this is part of the reason of the Bronze Age collapse. During the Bronze Age collapse in about 1200 BC, the chariot was the pinnacle of military technology. If you look at the Mediterranean. Whiskey Wednesdays is not helping me right now. I swear to God. All right, the Mediterranean. Yes, if you look at the map of where you can find the ingredients for copper at the time, there are very few places that have both. Bronze. That have tin and copper to create bronze. Bronze was required to create the chariot. Chariots were very effective at what they did. However, they required a large logistical support network. A lot of the very sophisticated civilizations of the time were able to maintain it. However, around the 1200 BC collapse, we lose a lot of technology, and you see this technology disappear. Without the support and the logistics for it, the technology is unsustainable. Just like how people make fun of Bitcoiners for saying that your digital money goes away the second there's an EMP. In one sense, if all of the electricity goes off, yes. However, there is that one guy running around with a mobile van and solar power and Starlink to keep the Bitcoin network going. So as long as there's support for technology, it's possible. However, at the same time, there does come a point where you need that human element, where you need the person to go do the thing, maybe even shake hands with another person if that's your objective. But it ultimately depends. If you're looking at war game style, mutual assured destruction, no, you don't need to put boots on the ground. You need to put missiles in silos. However, if you're trying to achieve specific things, you need a person to go guard the guard shack, to go guard the thing that you're trying to guard.
Yeah, and that human element is the most important thing. That human element right there is exactly the point of why the military itself will never go away. aka military with people, like actual humans.
There's multiple reasons for that one, but you're not wrong.
Yeah, but when it comes to the I would call it intimidation tactics, right? In any war that we're going to have, there is going to be strategical locations that need to be absolutely destroyed. And then after that, you're only going to have a very few amount of places that are going to be, quote unquote, occupied, later on. Now, these very few places that, will need that human touch. This is where you start getting like what the Taliban does and goes into cities, hides amongst the people, and then just surprise them here. You didn't know I was. And so then all citizens become enemies, right? That's when you run into problems with that. And I would say that would be the one situation where any war is going to have an issue. However, if you're looking at the difference between, a freaking Iran and the United States of America, that's a little bit different versus, China and Russia versus the United States of America. That's going to be a full-blown war. That's not just like skirmishes everywhere.
All right. Good topic. I'm going to do a hard pivot though. You guys good with that?
Absolutely. I do feel a little bit bad.
Let's do a pivot here. Good conversation so far. Let's keep it going. So let's talk about the community, man. What do you guys? So we've been streaming for
about an hour.
No. Well, not only tonight, Nate. When did we start this?
Yo, oh my God, that was it June? I think no, it had to have been May, wasn't it?
It had to have been, because I remember having one of the first Telegram calls in the Telegram community, and I was driving back from a Wizards game because I had Wizards season tickets last year.
Uh-huh.
And I want to say it was either April, May, or June. It was sometime in that time frame. It was one of the last games that I went to because I was driving back at night, and it was a Saturday night. I was like, you know what? Let me just start up a conversation and see where it goes. So either way, so we'll say spring or summertime. That's when we launched the channel and got everything going. What is the one thing that surprised you guys the most? Nate, I want you to go first. One of the things that surprised you the most about our community, and then Zenith, I know you're relatively new. I mean, you've been in the community for a minute, but as far as being on the panel, you know, you're the newest member on the panel. So Nate, I want you to go first, and then Zenith, I want to get your intake also. What are some of the most surprising things that you guys have seen in our community?
Well, number one is that people actually wanted to hear what we had to say. I mean, I don't want to be a dick, right? But it's kind of
did people really want to listen to us ranting about warfare for 45 minutes?
Right?
Oh, that's funny. But
sorry, boys.
You know, in my idea, it's kind of like we originally started this whole thing with the DGen Crypto Casino Citadel thing or whatever, right? We started with that. And it was directly from people who were in these CMC chats who were consistently helping people out, right? And we just started talking amongst each other about all the issues that we're seeing within these chats, and then it became kind of like a thing of like, okay, do this or that, help out there. You've got this point of view, I got this point of view. Cool. We can kind of cross-reference, and it became like an actual that's how the community really started with us, right? And then from there, we moved it over into the DGen Roundtable, just actually starting off kind of a whole show and all that. And my whole thing was like, yeah, do people really want to hear us talk? But kind of, I believe it was Jay who originally said this when we started doing those calls. Was like, we have a lot of valuable information. So if nothing else, even if people don't want to listen to us while we're talking, shooting the shit, right? At the very least, get that information out there so that people can accidentally find it and it'll change someone's life, right? And it's like, well, that's a really good idea. And so then we started, doing recordings. And after the recordings, people legitimately started actually liking it, right? And we're like, okay, cool. Let's go live now. And then, we got a few people watching here and there, blah, blah, blah. And then the idea, and I believe it was you, Josh, who came up with the idea, maybe we should do like a Telegram chat type of thing and have them join us. And it's like, okay, that's a great idea. And so we're like, when are we going to do it? We don't know. And I can't remember. I think it was just like, oh, let's do it. Just start it up. Let's go. You made Dace the owner. And Dace is like, okay, cool. I think I'm the owner now. Mm-hmm. And so then we just started up, and then people started joining, and people legitimately started having conversations. And to me, that was like, okay, so there's actually there are people in this world who actually want to get out of the rat race. There are people who actually want to try hard and spread information, who want to help others out. It's a heartwarming thing. I absolutely love it, right? And that was the biggest surprise for me, is that it's actually working. This is an actual great community. Now my next greatest surprise was, hey, we're actually getting crypto celebrities onto our show to talk to us. And then the crypto celebrities are like, oh yeah, you guys actually know what you're talking about, and I enjoy being on here. And next thing you know, they're like, hey, we want to be a part of this community too. And it's like, when you provide value to the world, right? The world itself tends to kind of appreciate you. And what I've been noticing about our community is everybody in it is trying to give out value. It's not like it's a DGen Roundtable alone that does it. We just kind of, I guess you could say, we're just kind of the heads of it, who started it, right? We do the show. But you guys in the community, you're the ones who are continuing what it is that we started. And obviously, we're in there too, doing giving out as much value as we can, you're giving out just as much value. That's why we are the best community in the world, quite frankly. So that, I don't know. A little bit of a tangent there, but yeah.
No, I mean, that's awesome, bro, because you're right. And that's why I like doing these, where it's just like, hey, look, we're just going to blast the link out there. And if anybody wants to get on, you know, it doesn't matter who you are. If you're watching live and you want to hop on right now, the link is in the Telegram. You guys feel free to hop on. We would like for your camera to be on. The camera doesn't have to be on. We don't even care if you have a half decent mic, but just hop on and talk to us. And that's part of the reason, you know what I'm saying, is because our community is awesome. And, you know, we got guys like Niles, and we got guys like, we got guys like Nate the Great. We got, you know, Zenith originally. You know, Zenith was just a dude in the chat, and then he's watching us. Then we brought him on, you know, and then you got guys like Antoine, who they're still pretty new, you know what I'm saying? But they're like, look, I just want to help. I want to find something to do. I want to learn more and more about this. Then, you know, we got, like, look at the chat right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got Moonpilled, who's hammering stuff. We got Hexakin, who was on earlier. You know, we got a great community right now who, you know, people just want to get out there and they want to help each other. And I think that's awesome. Zenith, what's your input?
First and foremost, I've met Moonpilled in real life. He's a cool dude, and I had a great time hanging out with him in Vegas. I'll just say that much. Real sharp guy, really on point with things, and then has it together. Original question was, what is the part of the community that surprises me the most? And I'll be honest, I think it's just the level of outreach that is possible when you have just a group of dedicated people that are actively trying to make it work. And then also the other half of that coin is the availability of the crypto world. Like, this is something that I've talked to Josh about specifically is that I am amazed with the caliber of guests that we can get for this show. Like, shoot, how many subscribers do we have? We have 282 subscribers, but we had somebody like Walrus on. Walrus blows my mind, like, every time I talk to the guy. And I'm honestly, like, kind of shocked that we have somebody who's so involved in the Liquid Loans project that's willing to just, like, come into the Telegram chat and just, like, kind of shoot the shit and, like, give us advice and, like, talk about books and stuff.
Tell me his favorite books.
I love that. I love that so much. Like, I'll throw it out this way. One of the books that he threw out that he thinks is important is The Giver. I've read The Giver before, but to be honest, I didn't quite understand, like, what the significance of the book was. But, like, just because he's talking about it, I'm like, there might be something I'm missing. So I'm like, I go back, I, like, look over stuff, and just the engagement that we get from people is phenomenal. Like, there's really the quality of guests that we have lined up for the show in, like, the past 2 months and the next month is top tier. Like, in the crypto space, it really doesn't get bigger than that. Like, some of the people that we've had on, like, I think having DCC on, Miguel, was phenomenal. He's been a lot of our mentors before, and being able to have him come on the show is amazing and just really special, and I really appreciate that. And then, again, I'm going to go back to Walrus. We had him on. We had RG3. RG3 is a movie star. He was in the highest of stakes. I'm pretty sure he helped produce it, or at least, like, after listening to him, he's the kind of guy that would help, like, guide and, like, give a little bit of a hand on the shoulder, be like, hey, check this out, consider this. Like, there's awesome people in this space, and because that we are trying and genuinely trying to help build a community, we have access to all that, and they're willing to help us. That's the thing that has just wowed me the most. I really appreciate it. I'm amazed by it, and I'm very thankful for everybody that is willing to come into the Telegram chat, tell me what book to go read, or even just spend a few minutes on stream. It's honestly been fantastic up to this point, and I am only looking forward to the future.
Yeah, it is super cool. You know, the connections that we're already making, you know what I mean? It's awesome. And just shout out to everyone that, you know, we've had on, all the special guests that we've had. You know, Walrus was our first guy. And then, you know, shout out to Rags, shout out to Sam from Brother 64, who's up in the chat right now. Shout out Sam. You know, shout out to RG3, shout out to DCC, shout out to all those guys that we've had on.
Dude, shout out to Crypto Sloth. I had no idea who he was before this. I purposely sat out on the stream that we had him as a guest because I felt like I didn't know enough to contribute anything. I watched more of his content. He came in on the book club and was just dropping knowledge. It was awesome.
Sloth is good. I've been talking with him, and we may have something coming very special in the later part of November. So we're looking for it. Not quite 100% on it yet, but definitely for sure. So he's been very busy, but you know, someone like him, he's one of these like big brain guys. You know what I mean? I don't know how he does it too, because he's doing what is it, dentistry, if I remember correctly, and then also like he's in college for that, and then he's also doing crypto and getting as deep into these cryptos. It's like, wow, bro, dude, what do you got, 1,000 IQ?
Got to be, man. He's got to. Yeah, Sloth is definitely impressive. You know, just the not only just with him, but the you know, when I do pre-calls with these guys, you know, it's I always ask them pretty much the same thing. You know, I'll ask them, hey, what kind of time slot? You know, can you do a 2-hour time slot? Could you do a Wednesday night? You know. And then I'll get into some other stuff. Hey, what are you passionate about? And then what do you want to plug? You know, but then I'll ask, you know, hey, is there anything off limits? Is there anything you don't really want to talk about? And everyone for the most part has just been like, dude, I'm willing to talk about whatever. I don't care, you know. And then, you know, I'm like, hey, are you willing to help us promote? They're like, absolutely, dude. Absolutely, we're willing to help you promote. So, you know, it's just, you know, it's the entire community. It's an awesome community. You know, the larger community in the space that we're in, you know, the Pulse Chain guys and the Hex guys and all those folks that we've had on. I'm really hoping that we can get some more well-versed folks in, you know, maybe from outside the Hex, maybe from outside the Pulse Chain space as well. So that's something that we're going to be looking to do around the corner. But as far as for me, man, it's just the amount of people that are just willing to listen to what we have to say. You know what I'm saying? You know, I remember when we first started, Nate, like, you know, I would have like 1 or 2, you know, tabs open that when we were live streaming, and then, you know, Will might have 1 or 2 open, and then you might have a couple open. And now it's to the point I don't even do that anymore. You know what I'm saying? I don't do it anymore. You know, you don't do it anymore. I don't think Jay ever did it. I don't think Brendan ever did it. You know what I'm saying? Like, they never juked it. Like, I mean, you know, everybody kind of jukes it in the beginning. You know what I'm saying? But like, it's to the point now where you know, we have a pretty loyal fan base, and you know, it's just awesome. I cannot wait for us to eventually be able to have a meetup. I think that's going to be awesome. And what I really want to do is I really want it to be something to where people don't have to come out of pocket very much at all, if at all. And it's something that we can do for the community to show the love that they've given us. That's ultimately
that would be quite awesome. So yeah, you had something, though, Zenith?
Yes, I did. How you know, I tried to pride myself on professionalism, but I'm really just dropping the fucking ball right now.
How dare you?
Look, I'm trying.
Look at my hair. You think that's professional? I mean, come on now.
It is. I would argue it is. Anyways, I do remember what I was going to say. So, speaking of guests, for people that might have tuned into the book club, I did solicit that I was going to be the guy that would bring Crypto Coffee on for the special guest spot. And I'm just going to say, I apologize to everybody. It is my bad. I was going to be the host, and I had the scheduling conflict. So if he's more than willing to come on, I would love to have him. But I'd just like to apologize to everybody for dropping the ball a little bit and just saying, yeah, that one's on me. I'll get it next time. So trying my hardest.
You know, it does happen quite often, though, with everybody, you know, where it's like, the scheduling isn't really matching up. Oh, we've been advertising it, but okay, let's shoot off to the next time, right?
Hey, Zenith, real quick, what were you saying? How excited were you, like, that Walrus was on the stream and all that stuff? Like, you're really excited about that, right?
Walrus is the longest stream that this channel has, but it is also my personal favorite and also the most viewed video on the channel. Walrus has actually been like really great for the community. Oh, don't do this to me. You're gonna.
What are you talking about?
I don't know. What am I talking about? Holy shit!
My ears were burning. What's up, man?
Brother, what's going on?
What's going on, man?
Walrus in the house, baby.
What's up, Walrus?
What's up, brother?
Why would you guys do this to me? You set me up. Set me up.
Oh.
No, go ahead. Go finish, Zenith.
Yeah, finish, bro. Please, feel free. Finish.
Keep waxing poetically about me, man. I appreciate it. I'm feeling a little tall today.
Oh, hey, Walrus, what's going on, man? You're catching a flight tomorrow, right? You all ready for that trip? What do you got going on this weekend?
I'll be right back.
Yeah, man. Yeah, pretty. He says so betrayed. Yeah, man. Like I said, I appreciate y'all giving me a quick caller, man. It's cool to come hang out. Shout out everybody, man. Like that stream that that we all did. Man, there was so much time and effort put in by you guys on that. That was super cool, man. It was a lot goes into that, man. Like especially something as long as that one was. That was a lot of fun. But yeah, I'm gonna fly out. There's the Cardone and a bunch of those guys, Scott Melker and some of those big guys that matter and stuff like that. They're going to be down in Florida, so I'm going to go down and party with them tomorrow, and then I'll be back the following day back in Dallas to hang out with all the Pulse Chain guys up there with the CZ and everybody in Dallas.
Oh, nice.
That's awesome, dude. That is so awesome. Yeah, bro, we cannot tell you how much, I know Nate, I know Tracker, they put in a lot of work. Those guys are crushing it. But, y'all's video, that has surpassed any other video that we've published since our channel's been live, dude. And we cannot thank you for the effort that you've put in and just, the outreach that you've shown in our chat specifically. Just the whole thing around our community, bro. We cannot thank you enough.
Hey, of course, man. Like content creators are everything. You know what I mean? So anyone that can help out anybody, build up any of these channels, get some audience, all that kind of stuff. Not only just, you guys are cool, man. The chat's a lot of fun hanging out and everyone in there. But man, you got to support content creators, man. It's the only way to get this stuff out when it comes to crypto.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing that I've been kind of looking at, right? It's kind of like future, as far as like content creators go, thinking about into the future. One of the things that I personally went through in my 2-year span of just being exit liquidity is a lot of the content creators are basically just shillers, right? And they tend to lead people down like bad paths. Well, I find myself in a position now where I've gotten past that. I've taken my L's, right? LLs. And so now I'm in that position where it's like, okay, I can be one of those guys to be like, don't do that, what I did, right? And here's the kind of the direction that I would suggest doing. Not financial advice, but that's also a mindset you have to be in,
It's just a part of everyone's, right? The shilling stuff, part of the reason that again, you get all the natural pump, gain, rush, dopamine, all that kind of stuff. The other part is that the rest of it doesn't make any sense, right? When you're first getting crypto, I'm like, hey, check out this admin key, free decentralized stable. You're like, what's that do? Oh, but the price doesn't move? Well, who cares? You just move on, right? It just doesn't hit the brain, So you almost have to go through the shill, that kind of, everyone kind of has their version of, the 2017 ICO craze, some variation of it, and you just have to before the stuff starts to sink in. I've talked a lot about when I, first got into Bitcoin. It wasn't, some sophisticated investment thesis. I was like, oh, cool. You can buy guns and drugs. Bitcoin's awesome. That was it. It was that silly. You know what I mean? I didn't think twice about it, and, just over time and progression, you kind of get to be a part of everything else.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? You do have a point. So I suppose you need to identify exactly what you mean by shilling, right? So when you're talking about shilling, you're like, hey, this is something that can really help you for life and everything. It's actually really good for you, blah, blah, blah. Versus this type of shilling I'm talking about, which is pump my own bags, please.
Yeah.
Right? It's kind of like what with Tracker and I did with you, right? The idea was hey, we're looking at this and we love it. We think this is a very good way for people to, and us, going into it, right? To be able to make money and then become free. It's one of those ways that you would go into it. I want to promote this because that's what we feel about it, looking at it. So we started diving into it very, very closely, right? And then the more and more we talk about it, the more and more it's like, you know what, this is an even better idea as we're going. You know, that's when you know something is really good. Versus, you know, what is it? You go into Coom Rocket or whatever, and the more and more you talk about it, you're like, yeah, what is this thing actually? You know, other than a joke for the IRS, you know.
You know, and the other part of that extension is the longer you're in crypto, the more you want to use these tools. You know, it's really the same as, you know, any other type of investing or kind of financial tools and assets. You know, until you have like a certain, you know, bag, sophistication, you know, strategy and plan, like, you know, if you're just trying to throw 10 grand around, like you don't need some, you know, private trust, you know, that you're going to run through Singapore. It's like, okay, who cares, man? Like, you got 10 grand, like, go make some money. Right. So, you know, it takes all these things to get those stages along before, you know, the real cool aspects of DeFi really start to ring true.
And do you mind, Zenith, do you have something because I actually have a little bit of a pivot away from this subject, but.
No, you're good. I was just going to jump in and say, like, yeah, the first time around, you may look at some crypto items. You don't exactly understand what exactly they're for or like who the audience is. And it's the why. Like, you can read a white paper and understand the mechanics of things, but until you understand why things are created, you're not really going to get the full grasp. For example, I originally got into Hex and I was looking at it and I was like, this is fantastic. I looked at Hedron and Icosa. And I was like, okay, the point of Hex is to lock up money over time. And then I looked at Hedron and Icosa and I was like, oh, these guys are trying to like rob people of like exit liquidity. And they're like, oh, so you're trying to lock up Hex, but then allow them to sell it off instantly. And I thought it was like a negative play on Hex, but I didn't understand what was going on because I was thinking like game theory wise, like attempted to try to apply that and be like, all right, someone created a product, someone else is trying to like take value out of it. I didn't understand that they all work together. You don't know these things until you go through a second time and you really understand what the ecosystem looks like.
I got something real quick.
Go for it.
Just a quick question. Zenith, were you a little starstruck there, buddy?
I'm not gonna lie, a little bit. Walrus, it is a pleasure to meet you, my friend. You are.
You got a little wine glass and everything too.
It is. I was gonna ask. Well, what are you sipping on over there? By the way, it looks.
Yeah, man.
Fantastic.
What do you have tonight? What do you got?
Man, I'm a huge fan of the high proof Wild Turkey stuff. So that's Wild Turkey Rare Breed.
Shoot,
Nice.
Moonpill Optics was in here earlier talking about Wild Turkey as well. So it must be some good stuff.
Yeah, it's one of those things that like whenever you like first start drinking like whiskeys and stuff, like most people are like you see some like 101, and if you like look at like cheaper stuff, that you're just like, oh great, just gonna get tanked quicker. But when you drink decent stuff, like high proof actually like kind of brings out some of the extra stuff. So a lot of stuff actually tastes better when you get used to like a higher proof. So yeah, like Wild Turkey stuff is way underrated. It just sounds country as hell because it's called Wild Turkey. But like Wild Turkey 101 is really good for basic stuff, and then their Rare Breed. That to me is that balance between like that's good stuff, and then you can get into like really pricey, neat stuff. But like, man, when it comes to like, hey, I just want something that's good and it really fits my taste palette, man, Wild Turkey Rare Breed's it's a hitter.
Oh, I feel you. Shoot, my 21st birthday, one of my buddies took me out to the bar and he ordered me a double of Maker's Mark neat. And Fresh Me was just like, oh my God, what is this jet fuel? And then I was just like so taken aback. Even the bartender was like, you want me to make that into something drinkable for you? And I was like, yeah, sure. Only later did I realize and how much fun she was making of me, but it is what it is.
Yeah, real quick, this is like a fun tangent, man. When you look at things like the HSI stakes, this is similar to a lot of derivatives or like Grayscale, and that you're actually right though. They are negative to Hex. It just depends on how you're measuring and when you're measuring, because derivatives are positive and negative. It just depends on when you're measuring, right? So when you have like added utility and they're at a premium, they're pulling up the market. There's extra market, exposure, impact, utility. But then there's times where when there's a discount, just like we see now with Grayscale. So like, let's say that HSIs are 20% off kind of their face value. Again, I honestly don't think that that we've really found good pricing yet on HSIs. There's some that are kind of like bonds or these different things. But if the HSIs, let's just say that they're 20% cheaper than face value. Well, for then until you get back to something closer to kind of like NAV pricing on it, they're negative, right? Like, because why am I going to come buy Hex on market? I can go buy an HSI stake. So any of those derivatives, they ebb and flow. They kind of oscillate around. So it depends on when you're measuring. Now, over the length of time forever, HSIs are awesome. Alex killed it. There's all kinds of cool stuff. There's added complexity, more value, all the cool stuff. But what is one of the things I really like about derivatives is when some people are like, oh, well, they're net negative. It's like, yeah, depending on when you measure, because there will be phases where they are negative on price. But again, overall, they're super beneficial. They add complexity to the ecosystem, all kinds of neat stuff. And the HSI tech is super underrated.
Yeah, for sure. The ability to have the Hex stake instances and then even getting them auctioned off, that's creating new utility for another chain. So even though it might be negative, it's adding extra functionality, which in and of itself is a positive.
Yep.
Hey, Zenith, quick question for you.
What's up, brother?
All right. Hey, and this is completely unrelated, okay? What was that shout out that you were giving to Sloth?
You mean the man that was dropping knowledge on me? God.
Yeah.
What's up, gentlemen?
What's up?
How
dude?
you doing? What's going on, brother?
Doing great. Thanks for having me up again. Wallace, good to see you, buddy.
What's up, man? I didn't even know the sloth was coming, man. I got one dropped on me too, Zenith.
Yeah. I didn't know either. It's a surprise to me as well.
Twice.
What's up, Sloth?
What's up? I don't know what this coin, this Zenith guy's talking about, but it sounds like a grift. I wouldn't touch it, honestly.
Total grifters.
Only for brokies. If you hate money, like, you know.
Yeah.
Sloth, it was the Atropa guys who built Hedron, right?
I think so. Yeah, that sounds about right to me.
Yeah, and if you get enough Hedron, you can peg P-die.
Man, I think I have
That's
some
the dream.
redeeming to do. I didn't realize I could get some extra utility out of my tokens. Thanks, Wallace.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. All you got to do is just buy about $100 worth of P-die, and that $100 will be worth $1 million in like 1 year. It's just fine.
That's it.
Cool. I'm cool with that trade.
Hey, Sloth, real quick. Sloth, what are you drinking on, buddy? You got anything you're drinking on right now?
Sparkling water.
Okay. All right. Hey.
All right. That's a good choice.
I like it.
Hey,
Hey,
It's not more
Walrus,
responsible than us.
Walrus, real quick, bud. If you need to take off whenever you need to, bud, I know you got a flight. I just thank you again for hopping on. But hang out for as long as you want. If you need to pop off, do your thing, man.
No, I'm good, brother. I appreciate it. I got like 10 minutes, so especially now we got everybody up here. Yeah, I'll sit tight as long as I can, and I'll jet out here in a minute.
If you don't mind, I do have a question for Walrus.
Yeah.
So I saw your recommendation of The Giver in the Telegram chat. I wanted to ask, what's the point that you think people should take from that book?
So I think it gets really weird. I'm just a big fan of like what I would call like altered states, new perspectives. I just think that when people kind of break, I mean, I don't want to get too like Andrew Tate and say like the Matrix, but we're just so okay with the way things are framed. And so I like things that kind of like challenge something and just make you phrase something different, right? So if I'm like, hey, do you think something should be illegal? Someone might go, yeah, because we're comfortable with that. But if I say, hey, do you think that people you don't know with guns should be able to go grab that person and lock them in a cage away from their family for that? Like, that sounds psychotic. I just said the same thing. That's what illegal means, right? Now, again, I'm not trying to get that dramatic about everything, but I like those things where you have to like really like understand what it is you're saying and framing that way. So with The Giver, it's the whole trade-off they have is basically like on emotions and these memories versus sort of a utopia, and it's just one of those things like, would you really want to give it up? And I just think it makes you kind of like, when you ask the question, you just kind of explore some interesting space.
Yeah, you talking about The
That's
Giver?
fair.
That book?
We are.
Yeah.
What you got?
That's a great book. I love that one.
Yeah.
I do think it's, when the first time that I read it, I didn't quite understand what it meant. So for a brief synopsis, it's basically there's a society where people are very detached from like the family unit and whatnot. And then also there is this one very special role where it is a person who inherits the memories of like past generations. And that's where they really learn about the horrors of humanity. But in so learning about the horrors of humanity also expands your emotional range so that you can understand things like love and camaraderie. And for me, at the time, I'll be honest, I thought it was because the girl I was dating was trying to get me to understand that I need to share my emotions more. And I was like, I don't know about that one. But looking back at it now, upon second reveal, thanks to Walrus, It's really about the idea of if you have a society that is so homogenized to glorifying the idea of sameness, the idea that you can understand things that are outside of the common perception has significant value. So specifically in a time like this where everyone might be hypnotized by mainstream media, there could be some significant value in being able to take a step back, look at the reality as a whole, and really understand what's going on. That's at least where I'm getting at it with this one.
Yeah, I make the joke now, and I kind of said it out of like kind of flip it, and now I realize I'm like, man, that thought was like strong. Most people don't back away from crypto because they don't understand it. It's because when they start playing with crypto, they realize they don't understand anything. Like it's not where does Bitcoin get its value? That's not what bothers people. It's when you turn around and say, where does the dollar get its value? Now they're uncomfortable. And so that's where I think some of these framing things where they just make you challenge even something small, whether it can be done through, art or any of this cool stuff. And obviously, for all of us, a lot of it's money, freedom, kind of, 2A, red meat, whatever your vibe is on just, being able to do things you want. But you kind of got to kind of find ways to challenge people's thinking somehow to kind of snap them out of it, wherever it is, right? It usually starts with one thing and it evolves from there.
Absolutely. I even had a little bit of a thought today. I was thinking about like certain things that I wanted to sell in my life. Notably, Crypto Boogie has inspired me to get rid of my motorcycle because my life is worth more than just a cheap thrill. So I was thinking about what is this motorcycle worth in terms of like fiat money? And it's like there's a barrier between going between these two hard currencies, which is you can pay money for an object, but then trying to go object back to money, there's kind of like this fee you have to pay with is like, it's an impermanent loss, so to speak, of like, I had this thing, it devalued, now it's worth less. This fiat is also worth more. And I was just thinking about like, this is the crypto experience in honesty. It's just no one has really ever thought about it in this way, which is you just assume that these things happen. But now that you see actually what's going on, you can actually look and see which parts of your life translate into the certain parts of the world that we've built on blockchain.
With that, actually, I got a question for Sloth. So something that I've kind of thought about for a little bit with you is you are currently, it's dentistry. Am I correct about that?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. So you're in the crypto space now, clearly in the RH ecosystems. Let's go ahead and say, it goes to the moon and all that. And now you've got like, say, $10 million, right? Okay. So you're looking at that. What is your, right? But what is the, where are you going to go with that? Is this something where like you would take those funds and for the crypto funds, right, with all the work you've done there, and are you gonna like move it into your own practice, or like kind of what's the deal with that? Like, how are you transferring your college experience with work, so to say, when you technically have enough money to not need to work?
Yeah, I mean, at that point, it's not work anymore. If I do decide to open my own practice or maybe do like more philanthropical stuff with my dental skills, that's just because I want to do it, and that's the impact that I want to have in the world, right? Like at that point, I have the freedom to use my time to make whatever impact that I want. In terms of like, getting more deeper to the question with like the tension between like my IRL stuff that I'm doing and then like the crypto brand and business that I'm building as well too. Truthfully, I don't know which direction it's going to go. I have no idea. It could go either direction, and I'm open to it going either way. I'm just going to keep building on both paths as long as it makes sense. And once the time and the path, once the time comes and the path that I should be taking solely becomes more obvious, then that's when I'll be ready to make the jump. But until then, it still just makes sense to do both. And I can see myself doing both right now.
That's a great answer.
Yeah.
Boom, baby. And that is the fucking goal right there, is to be able to work and do something that is your passion versus something that you have to do for money. And look, that's the goal right there. And you're living the dream, Sloth, and you're a walking example of it, and that's awesome. And
well, that's got you to say, it sounds all nice and stuff, but it's taken a lot of inner growth and like inner work to be able to kind of get to where I'm at today. And by no reason like am I in this amazing place. There's still a lot of work to do mentally, and then like in the real world too. But that's life. You take it one day at a time, and slowly I have been becoming more comfortable with just being okay with where I'm at today and not putting so much pressure on myself to be in some other place that I think I should be.
Nope.
See, that's that mindset right there. What was that?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask one quick question because I know Walrus and I know Sloth, y'all's time is valuable. Again, you guys pop off whenever you need to. Thank you so much for hopping on. It's awesome. If you guys want to continue, please do. But Walrus, I want to ask you a question, and then Sloth, you as well. Have you guys ever experienced a starstruck moment? Have you guys, or was this sort of the first time that you've experienced a starstruck moment from somebody?
No, I've had a couple, man. I ran into oddly enough, I have no idea how these guys end up being my favorite, but there's 2 or 3 Cuban boxers who were like my favorite. So I really like Yuriokis or now I got okay. So Gamboa, Lara, and Guillermo Rigondeaux, all 3 of those Cuban guys are all big fans of mine. And one time we were coming back from DC, and my brother was like, "Bro, I'm pretty sure that's Gamboa." And I was just teasing him. I'm like, "Come on, man. I know you're in DC. Not everybody here is famous." So, yeah, I'm just roasting my brother. Right? We're hanging out. And he's like, "Stop playing, man. I'm telling you, that's him." And I'm like, "Where'd he go?" He's like, "Oh, he walked around this corner." I'm like, "All right, whatever." So we kind of go back on, and he just tasked me again in a couple minutes. He's like, "Dude, that's Gamboa." And I look over, and there is this short guy in this like velvet suit sitting next to what looks like El Chapo's mistress. And I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's Gamboa, man. And we went over and said what's up to him. Anyway, he was really laid back, man. And then he yelled at the pretty girl to like hold the phone, and she was getting snotty. And he was like, "Hey," they said, "What's up? Take the picture." It was just, man, it was hilarious, man. So we were, I got a cool picture with him. So yeah, I've had a couple of those cool ones, man. But that was one of those where I was like, yeah, that's the Fireball, man. That's Yuriokis Gamboa, man. So there's some fun ones.
Yeah, I haven't really met too many people that like I'm huge fans of, but I was a big swimmer back in the day in high school and college, and when I was a kid, I met Michael Phelps, and that was the first time I was a little bit like he's like, "Oh my God," I couldn't like speak for a second. So yeah, that was probably mine.
Hey, he's a Baltimore boy too. I remember when he was going through all the Olympics and stuff like that.
NBAC.
Yeah, I mean,
yep.
We had stuff plastered all over the billboards up here.
Oh,
man.
I bet. You know, I used to live in Baltimore for a little bit.
Okay. All right. Cool. Yeah. We'll talk offline. I'll send you a message or something like that.
Cool, man.
But cool. But yeah, you guys please continue. But again, thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm gonna hop out. Hey, thanks for having me up. I appreciate it. Well, it's just good to see you. I feel like I always catch you around the streams, and at some point we're gonna get one together, man.
We'll lock it up, brother. Yeah. Me, you, and Axis, man. We'll get together and get real weird.
Oh, it's gonna be a fun time. I'm looking forward to it.
Hey, before you go, Sloth, thank you so much for jumping in on my book club stream. I really appreciate that. You dropped some serious knowledge on some folks, and it was fantastic.
Oh, wait, when? What?
It was like I think it was last Friday.
Yeah.
Last Friday. The main point that you dropped though is I mentioned the idea that I had a little bit of FOMO when I was looking back at past markets that I had not been involved in, and I was like, man, I wish I was there because I was there. And then you said, well, I'm gonna try to summarize this. You said that like you think that it was so good then, but that was only the people that made it. If you were in there at the time, you had no idea which way it was going.
Yep, that's pretty much it. The way I frame it in my head is like you know, the only reason you wish that you got in early before is because you know it went up later, right? Like that's the only reason you feel that way is because you know what happened afterwards. But and then the second thing I said, I think, and I'm remembering now more, it's like you have to accept being late today to be early tomorrow. So like if you ever want to experience those gains, at some point you just have to accept other people that got in before you. There's uncertainty now, and you're just gonna have to ride the wave wherever it goes afterwards.
My man, that is like some of the best advice I've heard in crypto when it comes to the mental sphere. Like that's it right there.
The hindsight curse.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Hey, it was good
to
see you.
All right, Sloth. Hey, appreciate it, man.
Thanks a lot for jumping in, guys.
All right, Walrus, you heading out too, buddy? Or you hanging out for a minute?
Yeah. I'm just gonna say, man, Zenith is good to link up, guys. You guys are putting in a ton of work, bringing on fun people, man, doing cool shows. So I hope your guys' channel really grows. I'll catch all y'all in the channel and all that, or the the big group chat all of us have, the Telegram room, and man, yeah, I just appreciate all the extra work, man. Like there's just you want all these different voices, you know what I mean? Like all this different content stuff. I've told the story a few times, but there was a Hexakin that I met in, I'm pretty sure it was one of the Vegas trips. he was there, and he was like, "Hey, can I say something?" I was like, "Yeah, of course, man." And he goes, "You're not my favorite Hex skin." I was like, "All right, we didn't have to whisper that, asshole. You know, I'm just teasing." You know, he kind of said it kind of funny. I knew it was building up to something. So I was like, "All right, cool, man. Good to know." He goes, "But I can recommend you to a lot of people that I can't recommend my favorite Hexicans to." And I was like, "Okay." He goes, "You're just professional. You don't really cuss, X, Y, Z. You keep it together and it's just professional." And I was like, "Oh, I get it." And so even his point was, "Hey, you're not my favorite flavor, but I still appreciate the voice." You know what I mean? You talk to a certain group of people. I'm pretty sure that he was, I know he was in the medical field. I think that he had something to do with like a big HMO group or something along those lines. But that's the thing, right? Like I've got I've stole it from Gene Hoffman, the cyberpunk and sport coat kind of vibe, but we want different flavors, right? Like that's the reason I come here. I'm a little loose. We hang out, we drink a little whiskey, but when I go out and do, stand in front of everyone, I put on more of that, that more kind of a corporate feel, just because, that's naturally my field. And there's not too much of that in the community. So we want all the voices, man. We want everyone's different flavor, different vibe, bring the audiences in and find a way to resonate with other people. So I appreciate all the work y'all are putting in on the channel, man.
Love it, man.
Thanks
Appreciate
a lot,
it.
Wallace.
Thank you so much.
Yep. All right, Zenith, be safe, man. You can thank chocolate for the surprises.
Much appreciated, my man. It was great to meet you, and you're already in competition for the person that has gotten me to spend the most on books so far. I've already gotten all the recommendations, and they will be coming.
Very cool, man. Very cool. All right, man. Y'all be safe, and I'll try to do some work for y'all over the week.
All right, bro. Have a good one.
Later, guys.
All right, boys. I think that's a good spot to wrap. Pretty good show. Pretty awesome conversations that we've had. So
pretty good show. Pretty awesome. Did you guys have fun playing Ashton Kutcher and punking me this whole time?
What's funny is so Nate didn't even know about it. I think I'm
none of us
I'm
knew
the only
about
one
this.
that knew about it. Yeah. So
I think these guys, my view is these guys much has just been in the chat and been like, "Oh man, I'm just gonna mess this kid up. This is gonna be fun. We're gonna have a good time."
I love it. All right, hey Zenith, why don't you tell the folks where they can find you, what you got coming up, what you're looking at for a book club, and what they can be excited about.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Pitch Zone. First off, we have The Giver. Hold on, I got this. I'm a professional. There we go. The Giver. That is a recommendation of Walrus himself. After that, the polls are in. We have the next book club selections. They're both Reminiscence of a Stock Operator, but first, we're going to be doing The Richest Man in Babylon. These both were super, super close, and we're going to be doing each of them. The Richest Man in Babylon, super cheap, super easy to read. It's got nice big words and large spaces for people like me. So that's going to be great. And that also gives me time to read Reminiscence of a Stock Operator. I think these books are both going to be great. I know nothing about The Richest Man in Babylon other than that Will is the one that made me buy it, and I got the fancy version for $12. So that's to be said. But more importantly,
where did Green Eggs and Ham line up on the list?
That's more of a Drunk Uncle Z thing, and don't worry,
Gotcha.
we might do something with that. I got something in mind for that. But yes, don't worry.
Please continue. There it is. Yo, he's grabbing it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Green Eggs and Ham.
Sometime we'll do that one. Let's look at the life mindset. We can do that.
A lot of people look at this book and they don't think that this is the greatest crypto advice they've ever gotten, but they're wrong. They are wrong. Anyways, I'm very much looking forward to The Richest Man in Babylon. I know nothing about it other than it should be a good read, and it's more of one of those, it's a narrative book that is going to teach you concepts about life, and you can apply it from there. Reminiscences of a Stock Operator is one of the books talks about a guy from the 1920s who went very rich, very broke, very rich again, very broke again, and then very suicided again very quickly. So I think that one is going to be very relevant to people that might be feeling this bear market, because I'm not going to lie, it's been tough, it's been rough, and I keep looking at these new all-time lows on projects and asking myself, am I an idiot for getting into them? The answer is potentially. We'll answer that later. As My subtitle does say, though, I do have a bit of an update on GameFi. I hope I'm making it a bit of a tradition for these Whiskey Wednesday things to be Zenith's random GameFi recommendation. But the game Shrapnel, which is an extraction first-person shooter based on the Avalanche platform for their blockchain integration, actually just released a sale for early access passes. There are 3 tiers. There's like a light, medium, and a heavy. If you get the light, you get early access, and that's pretty much about it. If you get medium, you get some basic NFT support throughout the, I want to say, first 4 months. Basically, gear is NFTs that you can use in the game to extract with and get more stuff. If you get the heavy pass, you actually get an extra pass to give one of your friends. So there's an option to get that one for about $100. Admittedly, yeah, sure, it's a bit of a steep price, but if you are invested in this game and you think it might go somewhere, it's not a bad option because it can help grow the community and get somebody to play with. So
that's the one you were getting me, right?
I mean, look, we already got the heavy. We might give it to somebody. If you want to play with me, hell yeah, brother. I'm just saying.
We should do like a giveaway type of deal. That'd be interesting.
I might be
what
down.
What do you guys think about that?
I've got about 2,500 hours on Escape from Tarkov and about 500 hours on Apex Legends. So I'm not saying I'm good, but I'm saying I'm at least dedicated to suffering. So if you want to play with me, there's an opportunity.
Fair enough.
I like it. Hey, Nate, what you got coming around the corner? Where can they find you, and what can they look forward to?
Well, as of currently for me, I'm looking deep into, there's a couple of different things. I've been kind of on a little bit of a tangent lately of making these very large walls of text via for kind of like, the perfect storm theory, putting it all together, kind of all these different sources we're kind of going into. As well as the one that I just recently put out. I'm forgetting what that one specifically was at this very second. But then also, Sloth and I, we have been in talks, and we're looking to do something about the new Hedron/Icosa changes. Hopefully we can get some specifics on exactly what's going to go on with it, and then we would like to deep dive into that. We're looking at possibly looking into the second half of November, so maybe right around the 15th to possibly the 20th. It's kind of the time range we're looking at right now, which would be an absolutely awesome thing. Just doing a deep dive like that, it's going to help out so many people. Just kind of like with the whole LL presentation as well. It's the go-to source. However, Tracker and I are also in the middle of putting together an EARN protocol, an amplifier protocol, deep dive as well, the same type of deal as well with that LL one. So we really want to try and deep dive in these things. Like him and I both believe, and there's others of course, but we do truly believe that this is the way that you can get out of that rat race. As Sloth even said, it's kind of like, hey, if I become a millionaire, crypto millionaire, am I going to continue on with doing the dentistry? Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. It's kind of keep your options open, keep moving forward. These are one of those things. These protocols are the type of thing where it's like, this is going to allow you to make that choice, in the end. And so, yeah, we definitely want people to be able to navigate it properly so that way they don't get wrecked, because that is the last thing. Don't be like me in 2021, 2022, okay? Just don't. It's not cool, and you end up losing things. So, yeah, stay tuned. We got a lot of good things coming down the pipeline. Obviously, these deep dives, it's not like we can just pump them out every single week, because there's a lot of things you need to literally go through and look through. I mean, there's a lot of reading. You got to type out 1,000 words into a freaking essay and all that, plus links, and you got to look through different links and all that. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into it, but anyways, I'm rambling. So there's a lot of good stuff coming. Stay tuned.
I gotcha. And Zenith, it's Hex Space Force and Hexaco Space Force. Correct?
Yes, sir. Hex Space Force on Twitter and Hexaco Space Force on YouTube and Instagram. Check me out on there. I try to post some decent content and a lot of memes. So if you're into that, check it out. And then additionally, we did have all of our boys on stream tonight. We had Walrus of Liquid Loans. We had Crypto Sloth, and the least but not forgotten, and in my opinion, honestly, most important to help the community grow, Hexagon Lost in Asia. He's got the YouTube channel. Go give him a subscription and watch some of those videos. He's probably done some clips on some of your favorite people, so check him out.
Absolutely. And Nate, is it the Ascending Man on YouTube? Is that where you are?
Yes, the Ascending Man on YouTube, or Nate McGettit on Instagram. Just go ahead, give me a follow, and yeah.
Are you ever going to get an X account, bro?
Look, if even a boomer like me figured out how to operate the Twitters, I believe in you, brother. You can do it.
Look,
you can do it.
He's still thinking about it over there. So I'm guessing that's a no. I'm guessing that's a hard pass.
You know what's really,
come on.
You know what's really funny is I'm suspended on Twitter. I just haven't gone through the process of getting myself unsuspended.
Nobody tell Elon.
There's a story there. Let's wait till the next Whiskey Wednesday to talk about it. All right. Hey, guys. My name is Josh. You guys can find me on Twitter at Chocolate Taints. That's where you guys can find me. Awesome stuff coming around the corner. All the panelists are putting in a ton of work. So make sure you guys are showing them love, not only on social medias, but in the Telegram chat as well. We got the Sunday night episode coming up at 8 o'clock on Sunday night. Make sure if you guys haven't subbed already, make sure you guys are subbed. Make sure you guys hit that notification bell, and so that way you're alerted for the Sunday night show. Next Wednesday, we're going to be having Wild SJ live in studio, and that's going to be hosted by none other than the great value TA master himself, Agent J. So Agent J is going to be hosting Wild SJ next Wednesday, and then we'll see what's around the corner. I know myself, Brendan, Will, and shout out to Antoine as well. One of the other, he was our first live sub, and he's in the community also. Us four, we're going to be down in Vegas. I think Crypto Chronic is down there. He had mentioned that he might be interested in meeting up with us, but either way, we're going to have a little meetup down in Miami. We're going to be down there for the Cardano Summit. So we got a little group chat going, and Brendan's putting together a little nightclub action for us, and some stuff around some fun stuff that's going to be coming around the corner there in November. Some things to look forward to on the channel. Look, guys, we're going to be very close to starting membership tiers. So if you guys haven't done so already, this is the first time I'm going to say it, and I'm going to keep hinting at it. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the Telegram channel. All right, check down in the description. Click on that Telegram channel. It's free to join now. Okay? Make sure you guys join that Telegram. Okay? Make sure you guys also check in that description channel. You guys can find all of our social medias as well as the channel social medias on there as well. The biggest thing that you guys can do, help us out, is make sure you share this URL across all your social medias. So like the video, make sure you're subscribed, make sure you hit that notification bell. But the biggest thing that you guys can do for us is to share the URL across all the channels. So with that being said, we thank everyone who was watching us live tonight. Look, this was a fun episode. I absolutely love these Whiskey Wednesdays. I can't be the only one. You guys like doing it too, right?
No, they're fun. It's a good. So usually we have to we got a whole bunch of things we got to study into, right, and make sure that we're saying things correctly. But it's like with these, it's kind of like we can just let's just talk to the community. Let's talk amongst ourselves. Let's see what's on our minds. I love that stuff.
That's right. Yep.
Absolutely. This has been a blast. I had fun getting ambushed by lots of guys that I admire and I think are very professional and very great. Again, we even had a little bit of book club light with Walrus talking about The Giver. That in mind, The Richest Man in Babylon, not this Friday, but the next Friday, we will be doing book club again. So stay tuned. And other than that, yeah, keep embarrassing me. This is a good time.
There we go, guys. All right, so we got book club coming up. We got Sunday episode coming up. We got a special guest coming up. Also, be on the lookout within the next month or two, probably. Look, whatever Nate and Tracker are working behind the scenes, that the last special that they did with Walrus was absolutely phenomenal. Nate, I cannot praise you enough. Tracker, if you're listening, if you're catching this on replay, I cannot praise you enough. The work that you guys put into that video was absolutely phenomenal. The quality was great. The information was great. You guys absolutely killed it. awesome job on that point. So that's what we got coming around the corner. So again, everyone that's watching live, thank you guys so much. Everyone that's catching us on the replay, make sure you guys tune in Sunday night, 8 o'clock. All right. With that being said, we thank you guys again so much for catching us, spending a little bit of time with us. And with that being said, we are out.